Welcome to For the Record. I'm Chandy Chapman. Today I sit down with a man who is taking on an exciting new role. Jerry Dickinson has been named the new dean for the University of Pittsburgh School of Law, and he's sharing with me the responsibility he feels in his new position, as well as his touching life story. Take a look. So first of all, thanks for being here and congratulations on your new position.
Great. Thank you, Chandy. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You're now the dean for the University of Pittsburgh School of Law. How does that feel to do that?
It is quite incredible. It is a lot of responsibility, but I'm really excited about the opportunity to take on this role. Pitt Law has a great legacy in the Pittsburgh region. Many of our great judges, federal and state judges and legislators and politicians and community leaders have graduated from Pitt Law. And I think when you look at that history and you look at the law school today, I say to myself, there's a major responsibility to continue that legacy and to continue to have some of the best legal education in all of Western Pennsylvania, if not all of Pennsylvania. And I'm excited about this opportunity to take on this helm.
And this just isn't a position. This is making history. Tell us about that. You're the youngest in the country.
Yes, yeah, I am the youngest dean at 38 in the country right now. And so, you know, that comes with a significant amount of responsibility. I have to say to myself that for the legal profession, for the legal academy, for society, you know, law schools are playing a significant role in shaping our world. And so for me, coming in as this, you know, unprecedented, you know, youngest dean in the country, it's exciting. It's also a great opportunity to sort of generational change and to bring new ideas and to, you know, think about how legal education can change and how it can shape the Pittsburgh region. And so that's really super exciting for me. I'm excited to be in that position. I'm honored. I'm humbled by it as well. I think knowing that I have that incredible responsibility is really important for me in humility and stepping back and saying to myself, okay, I'm here. I'm grateful for this opportunity, and now what can I do to make this institution a better place for the students, for staff, for faculty, and how can Pitt play a role in changing and shaping the Pittsburgh region in the coming years.
And when it comes to Pitt's law school, you're the second Black person to hold this position too. So you're not just influencing everyone in the country. You have a specific group that people could look up to.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. And I think this is really an honor to be able to become, you know, the second Black dean at the law school, and also someone who is from Pittsburgh. I'm born and raised from Pittsburgh, and I think from that perspective, I think, you know, you look at it in children here in Western Pennsylvania, kids who are in high school, who are in college, can look and say, wow, the Pitt Law Dean is an African-American male who came from Pittsburgh, who came up out of the foster care system, who had his own struggles growing up, but was able to overcome them and get to this position. And it wasn't easy. There's a lot of hard work to getting to this position. There's some luck involved as well, but there's a lot of hard work that was played a role in this. And so I think that is good. It's a symbolic message in many ways. It's symbolic to see that a person such as myself has gotten to this point, and now children throughout this region can say, I can do that too at some point.
It's important to mention that you paid your dues. You put in the work. Tell us about that journey a little bit.
Yeah.
And why did you pick constitutional law?
Yeah, absolutely. The journey to getting here is quite a long one, and I think you and I have talked about this many times. But my journey, you know, really started in the foster care system in a large foster home out in Shaler Township. And I can get back to talking more about that. But, you know, just seeing the struggles of my siblings, everything from incarceration, everything from addiction to poverty to homelessness, those are things and issues that really drove me to want to become a civil rights lawyer, and also to become a constitutional law professor. And that road is not easy. You have to do well in law school, and I did well in a law school in New York City, Fordham University School of Law. I went on to work for a large law firm called Reed Smith here in Pittsburgh, and then I clerked for a federal judge in Philadelphia on the Third Circuit Court of Appeals. Those are very difficult positions to obtain, but once you obtain them, that sort of gives you a path into becoming an academic. And when I took on this role at the University of Pittsburgh in 2017, I was really excited to become a con law professor, teach constitutional law, talk about democracy, talk about the rule of law, and really be a face for the University of Pittsburgh in talking about many of the pressing issues that were ongoing in the world today and in the future.
Because you've been on the staff for so long, as you said,
Yeah.
what's the law school look like now? What do you see for its future?
Yeah, absolutely. The law school is an incredible institution. We have some of the most profound faculty members in all the United States in various subject matters. So if it's criminal justice reform, we have some of the top scholars. If it's reproductive rights, we have a scholar on our faculty who is making and changing the conversation on reproductive rights across the United States. We have adjunct professors who are practicing in Pittsburgh and bringing their skill sets into the classroom for our students. And for our student body, we are seeing the credentials and the the academics that they're bringing to the institution to be top notch. And now today, one of the great things that we're seeing is that we have a 50% increase in applications to the University of Pittsburgh School of Law compared to this time last year. And I'd like to say it's because of me, but I won't say that. It's because of a lot of other things that are happening. People are looking at Pitt Law and saying, that's an institution that I want to get educated at. That's a place where I can make a difference, and that's a place where I can get my law degree and go out into the real world and change the world in so many different ways. And I think that's really exciting about this place. But when you look at that past and that history and where we're at now, I think Pitt Law could become one of the top law schools in all the United States in the next 10 years. I truly believe that, and that's because we have the staff, we have the faculty, we have the students, and we also have the support of the provost and the chancellor at the University of Pittsburgh. And I think because of that, we could see ourselves becoming one of the top law schools in the United States.
Still ahead on For the Record.
Running for Congress meant you had to learn how to compromise and be diplomatic. You had to learn how to negotiate.
Jerry Dickinson reflects on what he learned during his 2 runs for Congress. Welcome back to For the Record. As we continue my conversation with Jerry Dickinson, Dean of Pitt School of Law, I want to share with you his reflections on the 2 times he ran for Congress. Talking about making a difference, you do a lot in the community, and you ran for Congress twice.
Yes.
What are you doing now when it comes to public service? Any plans to run for any political service again, a political position?
Well, I started this position in January of this year, January 15th. And so I am 2 months into the job, about 2 months into the job, and so I'm really enjoying it. I stepped into the position from the position as vice dean, and we conducted a national search, a very competitive search for a new dean, and I was the winner of that campaign, if that's what you want to call it, and I was really happy to be selected to go into this position. As for the future for running for office, I did it twice for running for Congress in 2020 and then 2022. It was a fantastic, amazing experience. I will say that. I love being out there on the campaign trail, meeting voters, listening to their issues, listening to what they cared about. And I learned a lot from that experience. So I think it's not so much about whether I'll run again, because that is not in the sort of plan right now. I'm the dean of the law school, and I really look forward to continuing in that role for years to come. But it's taking those experiences that I had on the campaign trail and being able to utilize those skill sets now as a dean. So for example, running for Congress meant fundraising and raising money, and now I have the skill sets to do that. Running for Congress meant you had to learn how to compromise and be diplomatic. You had to learn how to negotiate. I can now take those skill sets and bring them into my role as a dean in a larger university setting. Listening to people. That was one of the biggest things that I learned on the campaign trail, was that you just needed to listen. What were the concerns of people? Housing, evictions, the pandemic, for example, right? Pocketbook issues. And now I can take that experience into my role as a dean, and I can listen to the different constituents I have at the law school: students, my staff, faculty, hundreds of faculty, the larger university administration. Those are skill sets, and you're able to navigate and build bridges. And I learned those on the campaign trail, and now I can bring that to my role as a dean. And I think that's a great experience. And a lot of academics do not come with that background in politics, and I think that's going to serve me well in my role as dean.
Jerry, did you ever think that you would be here right now?
No, I did not. I have to say, Shandy, if you would have asked me 3 years ago, when I was just coming off the campaign trail in 2022, that I would become the dean of the law school at Pitt, I would have laughed. It just was not something that was on my radar. But things happen. We had some turnover and transitions in leadership at the law school. We lost 2 deans in quick succession. And so there was some turmoil, and I was asked at that time in 2023 to step in as vice dean to help stabilize the ship. And I, out of loyalty to the institution, I said, I will do that. I'm happy to be in that position to help temporarily right the ship. But then you get into the position, and all of a sudden people say, you're not too bad at this, right? And why don't you think about the next step? And then all of a sudden, before you know it, you're being asked to step in to apply for the position. And under those circumstances, I said, you know what? I'm here. I'm loyal to the institution. I want to make it better. And there was a moment, and I remember this vividly, in 2023, it was in September, and my mother had passed away in early September 2023. And we held a memorial at St. Paul's Methodist Church out in the North Hills, where I was baptized, where we went to church all the time, this big foster family. And as I'm walking into the church, into the commons area of the church, I'm with my wife and 2 daughters. We're walking in. There's family and friends congregating before the memorial starts. And an elderly gentleman comes walking up to me. He has white hair, a white beard. And he looks at me, and he comes up and he shakes my hand and he says, pleasure to meet you again, Vice Dean Dickinson. And I thought, I didn't know who he was. I said, why is this gentleman approaching me? And he then said, I haven't seen you in 33 years. And I said, and then so my wife and daughters walked away. They said, what's going on here? And I then sort of stopped. And then he says, listen, I was the lawyer who represented you in your adoption hearing back in the late 1980s. And he said, last time I saw you was you were walking away in the arms of your adoptive mother. I had just finished representing you. And then he says, he puts his hand out and shakes my hand again. He says, my name is George Patrone, Pitt Law 76. And so there is a Pitt Law grad who somehow connected the dots. He saw me on the campaign trail. He learned about my story. He said, it's, the guy running for Congress, the foster family, all those things. And then he learned that I was the vice dean of the law school at the time. And so he connected all these dots. And then he finally saw the obituary in the Post-Gazette for my mother. And he said, there was the memorial at St. Paul's Methodist Church. He said, I want to go and I want to pay my respects to your mother, but I wanted to see whether I get a chance to meet you. And there I was, impeccable timing for him. We met, we chatted for a while. We've now been able to see each other multiple times. We've got together for breakfast. We've shared stories. He's told me stories about his time at Pitt Law back in the 1970s. He's given me a history on Pitt Law. And I thought, wow, here I am now as the dean, and that's my very intimate connection to this community, right? That is a Pitt Law alum. Now the school that I oversee and I lead is the lawyer who helped me in a time of need when I was that young.
That just gives me chills. It has to give you chills telling the story each time.
It certainly was. Yeah. Oh, it absolutely was. I was shocked. I remember sort of saying to him there at the memorial, I said, why are you here? And, just sort of like, why are you here? And then he told me, explained to me, I was here to, I want to, pay my respects to your mother, because he says, I remember your mother, but I also just wanted to meet you. So that to me, that's the improbable journey. And when that happened in 2023, that's around the time I started thinking to myself, you know what? That's a special moment, and that might be my signal to put my hat into the ring to become the next dean at Pitt Law. I said maybe that's a signal from above. So.
Still ahead, a look back at Jerry Dickinson's years growing up as a foster child right here in Pittsburgh. Welcome back to For the Record. As we continue my conversation with Jerry Dickinson, Pitt's new dean for the university's School of Law, I want to look more at his fascinating life story, including his time as a foster child here in Pittsburgh. We had a chance to do a story on your background. We
That's
have
right.
video of when you were 3 months old,
Yeah.
when you were celebrating your first birthday. Had a chance to meet your wonderful mother, and she does have a beautiful soul.
Yes.
So we sat down with your parents, but just to hear that journey of them adopting you, not
Yeah.
just being your foster parents, but
Yeah.
adopting you. How was it like growing up in that type of family with those parents?
Yeah, it was incredible. It's sort of, you have to imagine, this small ranch house out in western Pennsylvania, Shaler Township, sort of post-World War II suburban community. And this is a couple, Robert and Judy, who grew up in McKeesport in the 1940s and 50s, and then left in the 1960s to Shaler, had 2 kids of their own, and then decided, you know what, why don't we open up our small ranch house as an emergency foster shelter. I mean, that's really what it was at first, just an emergency foster shelter. And kids would come in, and there were black kids and white kids, and we were all sort of some of the most at-risk children in Allegheny County. Some of our biological parents had been murdered. Some of our biological parents were incarcerated. Some of our biological parents had abandoned us. I mean, these were dramatic situations where we were a group of children that were in need, and they opened up their home and said, we will take care of you for a temporary period of time, and then hopefully, you'll move on to another foster home or move on to. So there was 11 of us all together, 11 children coming into this home. 3 ended up going back to their biological parents and settings, and then of the remaining 8, as you mentioned, 8 of us were adopted over a 5-10 year span of time by the foster parents, including me. And so, we had bunk beds. We were gender segregated. We were sort of, I remember like growing up in a bedroom with 4 of my brothers, and we were in bunk beds, right? And it was just incredible. And we were all strangers just coming into this space, but strangers who came into this space who had to learn to love each other, who had to learn to care for each other, because we understood and knew where we were coming from. We were coming from difficult backgrounds. And I think that is just an incredible way to start anyone's life in that setting. But it instills a certain level of sympathy and empathy for those who are struggling. And that was really the case for many of my siblings.
What message would you give to anyone who wants to be a foster parent or maybe a child out there that is in the foster care system?
Yeah, there is always a child out there who is in need. They need a roof over their head. They need love, and that is one of the biggest aspects of this. Yes, sustenance, resources, basic needs, water, food, clothing is incredibly important. But I think what was most important for my parents was just a genuine love for the child and wanting to make sure that they were successful. And I think that's an important part of those who want to go into this arena, is making sure that they genuinely love the idea of wanting to take care of children who are in need, and know and understand that those children will likely be coming with some, drama, some background trauma that comes along with spending time in the foster care system. And that was the case for me and my brothers and sisters. And I think that's really the sort of message that I'd like to give to folks.
And our last question, we have the dean right here. So any young minds that want to get into the legal profession, what advice would you give them?
Oh, absolutely. I say this to a lot of mentees. I serve as a mentor for many, many kids across the region, whether it be in high school, middle school, students who are in undergraduate school. And I say, find your passion. Identify what really drives you. Identify what lights your fire and gets you up in the morning and what makes you want to go out and make a difference. Once you identify that passion, you can do anything. right? It doesn't matter sort of your background. It doesn't matter, how well you did in testing or grades or whatever. If you have a passion and you really want to truly make a difference, that is going to help drive you. And I say that to a lot of students because that will help them do well in law school. That will help them do extremely well as a lawyer, practicing lawyer, because it's about advocacy. Having that passion is very important. And identifying it's not the easiest of things to do. It takes time. But once you identify that, and whether it's civil rights, whether it's evictions, whether it's working for a big corporation, whether it's working for environmental justice, whatever it may be, finding that passion and saying, that's what I want to pursue, and then using your legal education to pursue it, that's what I would say to folks who are thinking about going into law school. And now more than ever, we need students to come in who are green, who are excited, who are ready to make a difference in this world. And Pitt Law, I think, is a home for some of our best, brightest minds in Western Pennsylvania to come to Pitt and become part of the legal community.
So knowing you're making a difference keeps the determination.
Yeah, that's right. Making a difference in the community, on the world stage, and we have all the tools and resources at the law school for students who want to do all those things. We have all the tools and resources, the faculty. If they want to go do it, we're going to help prepare them to do it. And I'm proud of that. I'm proud to be the leader of a law school that can prepare those resources and get those students off into their careers as lawyers.
You're watching For the Record. We're back right after this. Welcome back to For the Record. If you have a topic you'd like us to address, send us an email to news@WTAE.com. You can also rewatch this episode or any episode with the Very Local app on your smartphone, tablet, or smart TV. Thank you for joining us and have a good week.